Hey guys, with the release of Genshin Impact just around the corner and its showing to PAX East, I thought I'd create a quick summary of the manga for those who want to get to know the lore quickly and jump straight into the game without feeling lost. This video will be covering the plot of Prologue, Songs of the Wind. This means that there will be heavy spoilers ahead. However, I won't be covering every single little detail in the manga so far, so I highly encourage you to check out the manga yourself by clicking on the link I've left below in the description. That being said, my goal for these videos is to keep them short and sweet, so let's jump straight into it. Prologue, Songs of the Wind. This chapter takes place in Mondstadt, a city created and blessed by the Wind Archon, or essentially, a god. This god had given all the knowledge the people needed to survive. He had also set aside days of festival and celebrations. Unfortunately, Mondstadt had taken a turn for the worse. The rich now used their power and wealth to oppress the poor. Festivals are exclusively for the rich. The chapter starts with the showing of Lind, a sickly child, and Vanessa, her caretaker. The two look towards the night sky and were introduced to Celestia, a flying object in the sky in which they believe the gods reside in. We get a few pages of magic and a mysterious green-clothed bard emerges in the middle of the forest from a magic circle. After a brief time skip, we find the bard in the middle of a village. After playing some music, he finds out from the locals that a certain festival, Ludi Harpestum, will be reaching its climax or peak later that day. This was important because at the peak of the festival, a red ball would be thrown out by a maiden selected by the winner of the festivals of the actual holiday, and it would be thrown out into a crowd. The one to catch the ball would receive a year's worth of pay. Visibly excited, the bard begins to walk away in search of the event. Before he leaves, however, the locals warn him to avoid the ball at all costs. The bard arrives at the gathering of people and begins to converse with some of the people in the crowd. He quickly finds out that the traditions have changed. The Lord of Mondstadt had cancelled the games, taking the selection of the maiden for himself, as well as the ball. The bard quickly pushed his way to the front of the crowd and watched as the maiden threw the ball out into the crowd. As the crowd parts away, Barca, the Lord's son, walks to pick up the ball. Before Barca can pick up the ball, however, the bard quickly picks up the ball before running away, the guards chasing after him. Before he can make distance, however, he bumps into Vanessa before continuing to run away. Barca demands for Vanessa to move out of the way, but instead she stands firm and scares the Lord's son into backing off, at least for the meantime. Unfortunately, later that night, Barca asks his father to purchase the clan in which Vanessa is from, and as a result, as Barca's property, she is thrown into a cell. Later during that night, however, Vanessa hears a song being sang. Looking up from her cell, she sees that both of the guards have completely fallen asleep. The door is unlocked by no other than the bard that she had met earlier that day. The bard thanks Vanessa for her actions, but apologizes for landing her in prison. In response, she states that it simply isn't a big deal since she was already a slave warrior to begin with. She also asks the bard to stop speaking in rhymes. As a result, the bard states that her personality is very Muritan. The Muritan people were often known for their physique and red-colored hair. These characters suggested that Vanessa was also part of these people. The bard then goes on and introduces himself as Venti. Vanessa introduces herself, and Venti asks if he could write her name into his songs. In response, she states that her name simply wouldn't rhyme well. As a result, Venti offers an apple instead and asks if he could at least be her friend. The two continue to talk, and Vanessa continues to explain her situation. See, the city had promised her that if she were to win 12 battles, both she and her people would be set free from slavery. Venti offers to free Vanessa and promises to free her people if she leaves with him, but Vanessa simply states that she cannot betray her people and that she must claim freedom from her people with dignity and honor. With nothing left to say, the bard lets out a sigh and leaves the cell, but not without letting out a smirk. The very next day, Vanessa and the entirety of her people in the city are forced out into the town square. Lord Lawrence, the Lord of Mondstadt, declares that Vanessa's 12th battle will be against Ursa the Drake, a dragon that has caused terror to the city for centuries. The Lord offers up the entirety of his property and the ownership of Mondstadt if Vanessa is successful. The Lord reveals that he had offered Ursa an offering in exchange for lasting peace. Soon after, the dragon and other monsters begin to charge towards the city. Vanessa and her people attempt to retreat back into the city, but the city archers let loose a barrage of arrows into the people attempting to retreat. With no other choice but to fight, Vanessa charges towards the dragon. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a sound of song bursts through the opening, and Venti drops down from the sky. As he plays his music, Vanessa finds her movements empowered and her wounds healed. She charges forward and stabs Ursa, causing the dragon to retreat. Vanessa looks up to Venti, realizing that he was not simply a bard, but actually the Wind Archon himself. Venti responds that because Vanessa had fought for the freedom of her people, he would fight for her freedom as well. He turns to Lord Lawrence and reminds him of the promise of the city and property to Vanessa for winning the fight, and telling him to play by the rules, for the gods are no fools. After Vanessa passed away of old age, she would be taken up to Celestia by Venti and turned into an immortal eagle responsible for looking over Mondstadt. Venti would then turn towards the main character with a smile. And yeah, that's basically it for the first chapter of the manga. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like down below. If you read the manga and you want to fill in some of the parts that I might have missed, feel free to throw those down into the comments down below. Since I'm actually an official content creator for Genshin Impact, I will be live streaming my full experience on my Twitch channel. We love to talk about anime and play Osu and all different kinds of games, so if you'd like to be part of the family, just click on the link to my Twitch in the description down below and drop a follow so you'll be able to be part of the fun. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys soon.